You won't believe what these miners found after bursting open a rock with an excavator. Much of our understanding of history comes from archaeological discoveries, and we continue to find new artifacts that change our understanding of humanity's past. From skeletons found embracing to a Siberian Ice Princess, here are 20 incredible underground discoveries that have rewritten history. Number 20. The Siberian Ice Princess. In 1993, archaeologists discovered the Ice Maiden in the frozen terrain of Siberia. Also known as the Princess of Yukok, the Ice Maiden was part of an ancient people who roamed the Altai Mountains from the 6th to 3rd centuries BCE. Thanks to the permafrost, the Ice Princess's body remained well preserved. She was buried with 6 horses, all dressed in full harnesses, indicating her significant status. Her wooden coffin, made from a solid large tree trunk, contained her embalmed body laid in a sleeping position. Despite its rarity at the time, the maiden wore Chinese silk and a towering felt headdress, signifying her high position. Aside from her clothes, the Ice Maiden was also covered with tattoos on her arms. These tattoos depicted mystical creatures such as a deer with a griffin's beak, a capricorn's antlers, and a sheep with a snow leopard by its feet. These designs, made with indigo ink, are so elaborate that they wouldn't look out of place in a modern tattoo studio. Subsequent research revealed just how harrowing her life was. Scientists discovered through MRIs that she suffered from breast cancer and chronic pain. Back in antiquity, she could only rely on ancient herbs to alleviate her suffering. The analysis also revealed that she regularly inhaled copper and mercury fumes, likely part of her role as a shaman in religious or healing rituals. The Siberian Ice Princess is one of the most historically significant discoveries, but it's not one without conflict. While the scientific community was thrilled, the local Altai people were outraged. They viewed her as a spiritual guardian and a symbol of their cultural heritage. For nearly 2 decades, her body was kept in Novosibirsk for research, which led to protests and demands for her return. In 2012, her remains were finally returned to the Altai, where she now rests in a specially designed mausoleum. Number 19. Chewing gum reveals the life of 5,700-year-old woman. Science truly is astounding. Who would even think that we have the ability to figure out the life of a person who lived 5,700 years ago through a single piece of chewing gum? Meet Lola, a Stone Age woman whose life story has been pieced together from an extraordinary source, her chewing gum. This remarkable discovery was made on the island of Lolland in southern Denmark, where a piece of birch pitch, ancient chewing gum, yielded a wealth of information about its last chewer. Scientists at the University of Copenhagen were able to extract an entire human genome from this tiny piece of chewed birch pitch. This breakthrough allowed them to paint a vivid picture of Lola. She had dark skin, dark hair, and striking blue eyes, a combination common among European hunter-gatherers of her time. This discovery is quite astounding because it shows that the genetic traits for lighter skin in Europe emerged much later. This means early settlers of the region had dark skin and dark hair, a stark contrast to the people hailing from the continent today. The gum didn't just reveal Lola's physical traits, it also provided clues about her diet and health. The DNA showed that Lola had recently consumed hazelnuts and duck, typical of a hunter-gatherer diet. Additionally, she was lactose intolerant, which aligns with what we know about pre-agricultural human populations who hadn't yet adapted to digesting dairy. The birch pitch, which served multiple purposes in ancient times from gluing tools to relieving toothaches, also preserved traces of Lola's oral microbiome. Researchers found DNA from various oral microbes, including pathogens like the Epstein-Barr virus and bacteria associated with gum disease. This information helps scientists understand how these microorganisms have evolved over millennia and their impact on human health. All that and more were revealed just from a single piece of chewed gum. Again, let me tell you, science is incredible. Number 18. Ashurbanipal's Library. Ashurbanipal, the last great king of the Neo-Assyrian Empire, reigned from 668 to 627 BCE. Unlike many of his contemporaries, Ashurbanipal was highly literate and took a deep personal interest in the collection and preservation of texts. With his power and desire for knowledge, he amassed a vast library containing over 30,000 clay tablets and fragments inscribed with cuneiform script in various languages, including Akkadian and Sumerian. This collection of knowledge is the Library of Ashurbanipal, one of the greatest archaeological locations in the world. Among the most popular works in this ancient library is the Epic of Gilgamesh, one of the earliest known works of literature. The library also included texts on medicine, astrology, divination, law, mathematics, and more. This extensive collection provides modern scholars with invaluable insights into the intellectual and cultural life of ancient Mesopotamia. Ashurbanipal's dedication to his library was evident in his meticulous approach to acquiring texts. He dispatched agents throughout his empire to collect rare and significant works, often instructing them to obtain original documents or high-quality copies. These texts were then organized systematically, with colophons or labels indicating their origin and subject matter. The library's organization was advanced for its time. Tablets were categorized by content, such as financial transactions, agricultural records, astronomical observations, and religious texts. Today, most of the surviving tablets from Ashurbanipal's library are housed in the British Museum, thanks to excavations in the mid-19th century. Efforts like the Ashurbanipal Library Project continue to digitize and catalog these artifacts, making them accessible to scholars and the public worldwide. Number 17. The Copper Scroll Treasure. In 1952, during an excavation at Qumran near the Dead Sea, archaeologists discovered a unique artifact among the Dead Sea Scrolls, an ancient text engraved on copper sheets known as the Copper Scroll. Unlike the other scrolls, which were written on parchment or papyrus, the Copper Scroll stood out due to its medium and its contents, a detailed list of hidden treasures scattered across various locations. The Copper Scroll describes 64 hiding places containing vast amounts of gold, silver, and other precious items. These treasures are believed to have been hidden by Jewish priests or members of the Essene community around the time of the Roman conquest of Jerusalem in 70 CE. The scroll's language is straightforward and almost bookkeeping in style, listing specific quantities of treasure and precise locations, such as in the ruin which is in the Valley of Acre, under the steps, 7 talents of silver. Yet, despite many attempts to locate these treasures, no one has ever successfully found them. Even so, the Copper Scroll remains one of the most significant archaeological discoveries ever unearthed. Number 16. 3,300-year-old claw. In 1987, a team from the New Zealand Speleological Society unearthed an astonishing find deep within the dark recesses of Mount Owen's caves. They discovered a massive dinosaur-like claw, still intact with muscles and scaly skin. This well-preserved claw belonged to an upland moa, a species of flightless bird that had roamed New Zealand's higher elevations thousands of years ago. The upland moa was one of the smaller moa species, standing about 4.2 feet tall. Despite its relatively modest size compared to its larger relatives, the upland moa was an impressive bird, covered in feathers and adapted to the cooler upland regions of New Zealand. Moas, as a group, were diverse, with some species reaching up to 12 feet tall. Moas thrived in New Zealand's ecosystems for millennia, with their only natural predator being the formidable Haast's eagle. However, the arrival of Polynesian settlers in the 13th century marked the beginning of the end for these magnificent birds. Overhunting and habitat destruction quickly drove moas to extinction by the time Europeans arrived in the 1760s. And so, today all we have left as a reminder that these creatures once existed are old illustrations, fossils, and remains. Number 15. The city that got erased by a volcano. Pompeii was a bustling Roman city near modern Naples. It was a Roman city that seemingly knew no end. Yet, one night in 79 AD, Mount Vesuvius unleashed its wrath. In just a single night, Pompeii was reduced to ruins. The entire city was covered in ash and pumice. By dawn, everything was wiped out. Today, we continue to get a glimpse of the victims in Pompeii by casting their bodies. Among the many who succumbed to Mount Vesuvius's eruption is one man deemed to be the unluckiest in the world. Initially, archaeologists believed he had been crushed by a massive stone block while fleeing the eruption. His skeleton was found with a large stone where his head should have been, suggesting a rather grim fate. However, further analysis revealed a different story. The man's skull was later found intact a few feet away from the rest of his body, dispelling the initial theory that he was decapitated by the stone. Instead, it's now believed that he died from asphyxiation due to the pyroclastic flow, a lethal surge of hot gas and volcanic matter that swept through the city. The stone, thought to be a door jamb, likely fell during the chaos, landing on the man's body post-mortem. Well, that doesn't really make this man's story any better. Number 14. Unknown script finally deciphered after decades. The Kushan script is one of several scripts in the world that remained unsolved for a long time. For over 70 years, this script befuddled researchers and even the greatest linguists of all time. And yet, recently, it seems that its puzzle has finally been solved. First discovered in the 1950s, the Kushan script was found on various inscriptions across Central Asia, primarily in Tajikistan, Afghanistan, and Uzbekistan. Despite numerous attempts, deciphering the script proved challenging due to the scarcity of surviving texts and the lack of known parallels. However, recent efforts by a team from the University of Cologne, in collaboration with Tajik archaeologists, have shed new light on this ancient writing system. This newly identified language likely served as one of the official languages of the Kushan Empire, which thrived between 200 BCE and 700 CE, spanning vast regions of Central Asia and northwestern India. Today, about 60% of this script has been unraveled. It's exciting to think just what information we can find by decoding texts and tablets written in this intriguing writing. Number 13. A monarch's corpse under a parking lot. Richard III, the last Plantagenet king of England, perished in the Battle of Bosworth Field in 1485, marking the end of the Wars of the Roses. After his death, Richard's body was hastily buried at Greyfriars Church in Leicester, a location lost to history over the centuries. Many would argue that while Richard III wasn't an entirely bad monarch, he wasn't a very good uncle. He faced 2 major rebellions and was not well liked by the elites at the time. Perhaps it was due to this dislike that there was no haste to find the whereabouts of Richard III's tomb centuries after his death. However, it was discovered in the most unexpected way. In 2012, a team from the University of Leicester, guided by historical records and ground-penetrating radar, began excavating a city council parking lot believed to be the Greyfriars Church where Richard III was interred. Their efforts paid off spectacularly. They uncovered a skeleton showing signs of severe battle injuries and a pronounced curvature of the spine, features consistent with contemporary accounts of Richard III. The skeleton followed the alleged injuries retained by the late monarch. Further indignities were evident from post-mortem injuries, likely inflicted when Richard's body was paraded and humiliated. Researchers then compared mitochondrial DNA from the skeleton with that of living descendants of Richard III's sister, Anne of York. The DNA matched, confirming the skeleton's identity with 99.9994% certainty. This genetic evidence, combined with the historical context and physical characteristics of the remains, left no doubt that the king in the car park was indeed Richard III. Historically vilified, particularly in Shakespeare's play, Richard's reputation as a tyrant and usurper is now being reconsidered. His reburial in Leicester Cathedral in 2015 was marked by a ceremony befitting a king, offering a dignified end to the journey that began over 500 years ago. Number 12. Mysterious stone balls with unknown purpose. Throughout the years, several stone balls have been discovered across Scotland, particularly in the Orkney Islands. The most recently found stone balls were unearthed in a Neolithic tomb dating back a whopping 5,500 years. The tomb at Traceness, where these stone balls were found, is part of a chambered cairn, a type of burial mound used during the Neolithic period. This tomb is perched precariously on a cliffside, with the sea eroding its base, making the site both a treasure trove of history and a race against time to preserve it. So what exactly are these stone balls? Each one is about the size of a cricket ball, meticulously carved from banded sandstone. Their polished surfaces suggest they were highly valued by their creators. While over 500 carved stone balls have been found across Scotland, these particular ones are among the few discovered right in the original locations where they were most likely left thousands of years ago. Some of these balls feature intricate patterns of spirals and circular motifs, common in Neolithic art across Europe. Others have projections resembling small pyramids or knobs. Aside from their inconsistent appearance, we have no idea what they were used for. Some suggest they might have been tools or weapons, as signs of blunt force injuries on Neolithic skulls indicate. Others propose they were symbols of power or religious artifacts, possibly used in rituals. Their exact purpose remains a mystery to this day. Number 11. A very powerful man and his 4-foot-long sword. Earlier this year, researchers in Halmstad, Sweden, discovered a remarkably tall and powerful medieval man buried with a 4-foot-long sword. This discovery was made at the Little Square, or Lilla Torg, during excavations of a former Franciscan friary. The friary was active from 1494 until it was destroyed by the Protestant Reformation around 1531. Among 49 graves discovered, the burial of this man stood out due to the presence of a massive sword placed beside him. The man, estimated to be about 6 feet 3 inches tall, remarkably tall for his time, was likely a nobleman from the 15th or early 16th century. He had an impressive stature and a sword inlaid with Christian crosses. There's no doubt that this man was revered and held significant power during his time. This nobleman is thought to have been a supporter of the Kalmar Union, a political entity that united Denmark, Norway, and Sweden under a single monarch from 1397 to 1523. This discovery sheds light on the nobility that lived in the region centuries ago. Number 10. Headless Vikings of Dorset. In 2009, during the construction of the Weymouth Relief Road in Dorset, England, archaeologists uncovered a mass grave containing the remains of 54 individuals. What's strange is that these individuals were all decapitated. All the skeletons had no heads. Instead, their heads were placed separately from their bodies. Scientific analysis revealed that the victims were young Scandinavian men, likely Vikings. Isotope testing of their teeth indicated diverse origins across Scandinavia, suggesting they were part of a Viking raiding party or mercenary group. Now, one question remains: why the harsh treatment? One compelling theory links these executions to the St. Brice's Day massacre of 1002 AD, ordered by King Ethelred the Unready. This event aimed to eliminate Danish settlers in England and prevent further Viking raids. Another hypothesis suggests the men could have been captured during conflicts between Vikings and Anglo-Saxons, possibly as a demonstration of power and authority. Number 9. Centuries-old skeleton with massive crippling bone. In 2023, archaeologists discovered a rather peculiar piece of bone, a bone with another debilitating bone attached to it. This odd bone was discovered in Portugal. Upon seeing it for the first time, archaeologists couldn't believe their eyes. The skeleton itself dates back to between the 14th and 19th centuries. It belonged to a woman who was one of the 6 adults discovered in the ancient necropolis of São Julião Church. Yet this odd piece of bone sets her apart from the others. Researchers believe that the bone growth is a myositis ossificans traumatica, a growth that appears as a sign of severe muscle injury. This condition leads to the abnormal formation of bone within muscle tissue, creating a hard bony mass. Researchers believe the injury occurred between 6 weeks to a year before her death, severely impacting her ability to move or bear weight. Despite the severity of her condition, the rest of her skeleton was well preserved, revealing that she was approximately 5 feet tall and over 50 years old at the time of her death. Number 8. One of the oldest and most well-preserved mummies. In 1971, workers digging near Changsha, China, stumbled upon a remarkable tomb belonging to Lady Di, her husband, and a young man believed to be her son. However, Lady Di's mummy captured most of the attention. Subsequent research revealed that Lady Di lived during the Han Dynasty and perished around 163 BCE. Despite the fact that she perished 2,100 years ago, Lady Di's mummy seemed as if she only passed recently. She perished at age 50, and yet her mummy was found with soft, moist skin, flexible joints, and even blood still in her veins. Her body was so well preserved that it allowed scientists to perform a detailed autopsy, revealing that she suffered from various ailments, including coronary heart disease, diabetes, and gallstones. Her last meal, a melon, was still identifiable by the 138 seeds found in her stomach and intestines, suggesting her death came shortly after eating the melon. After examining her body, researchers made it their mission to learn about the burial techniques used to preserve her remains. The preservation of her body was elaborate. She was placed inside 4 nested coffins, each sealed with layers of charcoal and clay to create an airtight environment. Additionally, her body was wrapped in 20 layers of silk and immersed in a mysterious, lightly acidic liquid that likely helped prevent bacterial growth and decomposition. Although far from the initial state she was found in, Lady Di continues to be one of the most well-preserved mummies ever found. Number 7. The oldest temple in the world. This rubble might not look like anything remarkable, but this is actually the oldest known temple in the world. This is Göbekli Tepe, located in southeastern Turkey. This ancient site dates back to around 11,500 years ago, and it has yet to shed its secrets. This temple is a complex of massive stone pillars arranged in circles, some of which are over 65 feet in diameter. These pillars, up to 18 feet tall and weighing up to 50 tons, are adorned with intricate carvings of animals such as foxes, lions, and vultures. Some pillars even feature anthropomorphic designs, depicting hands, arms, and belts, suggesting these could represent deities or important figures. What's intriguing about the structure is that despite being built 11,500 years ago, it shows that its builders had a great understanding of geometric principles. Researchers discovered that the central points of 3 of the main enclosures form an almost perfect equilateral triangle. This indicates that the builders had a sophisticated knowledge of geometry and planned the structures as part of a unified project. Remember, the entire complex was built without the use of modern technology. This goes to show how skilled the people behind Göbekli Tepe were. To this day, we have yet to learn about the people behind the oldest temple in the world. Number 6. Mysterious 4,000-year-old carved stones. In 2019, archaeologists in Finstuen, Orkney, discovered 9 mysterious carved stones that are about 4,000 years old. These stones might not look like they resemble anything at first glance, but archaeologists noticed their strange resemblance to human figures. The stones were discovered around a hearth within a structure containing burial cists and remnants of 2 hearths. Each stone is roughly carved to feature a head, shoulders, and neck, giving them a distinctly human-like appearance. They are about half a meter tall, making them stand out as unique artifacts in the archaeological record of the region. Experts are still piecing together the purpose of these carved stones. Some theories suggest they might have been used as figurines or even functional objects such as weights to anchor ropes for holding up roofs. The fact that they were incorporated into the structure's foundation and hearths indicates they had a significant and possibly symbolic role in the construction and daily life of the settlement. Aside from their purpose, whether these stones were made in the likeness of humans or not also remains a mystery. Number 5. Egyptian sarcophagi, cat mummies, and gold-leafed statues. Saqqara, an acropolis near Cairo, has always been a treasure trove of ancient Egyptian artifacts. Yet in 2022, it yielded one of the most significant finds: hundreds of ancient Egyptian sarcophagi, cat mummies, and gold-leaf statues. These finds date back to the 5th century BC, a period known as Egypt's late period when the region was under Persian rule but still saw flourishing Egyptian culture and religious practices. Archaeologists believe that the abundance of cats in the necropolis is most likely because of the cat goddess Batet. To please the goddess, several cat mummies were placed in the tombs as offerings to this revered goddess. The Saqqara site continues to be a treasure trove for archaeologists. Since excavations began in 2018, more than 450 sarcophagi have been uncovered, with many more expected as only a fraction of the site has been explored. Number 4. Folded iron sword. In 2021, archaeologists in Greece unearthed a 1,600-year-old iron sword. Now, this is no ordinary historical sword. This sword was originally found during excavations ahead of the construction of the Kozani metro station. This revealed an early Christian basilica from the 5th century along with 7 graves. One of these graves contained a soldier buried with a shield boss, a spearhead, and a bent spada, a type of long straight sword used by Roman auxiliary cavalry forces. This 1,600-year-old sword wasn't bent due to usage. Rather, it was deliberately bent due to a practice known as ritual killing. This pagan ritual, seen in various ancient cultures, was intended to kill the weapon, rendering it unusable and thus accompanying the deceased into the afterlife. Although this practice was common in Northern Europe among Celts and later by the Vikings, it was rare among Romans, especially during the rise of Christianity. The grave's location within a Christian basilica suggests the soldier was likely a high-ranking officer or a Romanized mercenary from a Germanic tribe such as the Goths. Despite embracing Roman customs and Christianity, the presence of his killed sword meant that the soldier still respected his ancestral traditions in his last moments. Number 3. Terracotta Army. In 1974, local farmers near Xi'an, Shaanxi Province, China, were digging a well in search of water. That year, their simple digging led to what is now known as one of the greatest archaeological discoveries in the world, the Terracotta Army. Over 8,000 life-sized terracotta soldiers and horses were discovered beneath the ground. What's more astonishing is the fact that these figures were created to guard the first emperor of China, Qin Shi Huang, in the afterlife. Qin Shi Huang, who ascended to the throne at the age of 13, unified China in 221 BCE and became its first emperor. His ambitious projects included the construction of the Great Wall and his own elaborate mausoleum, which he began building as soon as he took the throne. The Terracotta Army was part of this grand burial complex designed to accompany and protect the emperor in the afterlife. Each terracotta soldier is unique and meticulously crafted with distinct facial features, hairstyles, and armor, reflecting the diverse ranks and roles within the Qin dynasty's military. The soldiers are arranged in battle formation within 3 main pits. The largest pit contains infantrymen and chariots, while the second pit houses cavalry and archers. The third pit appears to be the command center with high-ranking officers and war chariots. Today, the Terracotta Army continues to guard the unopened tomb of the first emperor. It also continues to be one of the greatest archaeological discoveries that forever changed the history of China. Number 2. Rare Neolithic goddess. This might not look like it, but you're looking at an 8,000-year-old statuette of a fertility goddess. Yes, you heard that right. This statuette was discovered by researchers in the Neolithic site of Çatalhöyük in central Turkey. It stands out not just because of its age but also due to its material, recrystallized limestone, a rarity in a region where most similar artifacts are made of clay. Measuring about 17 centimeters tall and weighing approximately 2.2 pounds, the figurine features detailed craftsmanship, including elaborate fat rolls on the limbs, neck, and arms separated from the torso. These details suggest that it was made by a highly skilled artisan using thin tools like flint or obsidian. Now, unlike most figures discovered in the area that are fragmented, this one was discovered intact, lying near an obsidian blade and another lesser quality figurine, which indicates it might have been part of a ritualistic practice. Its fine detail and the material used hint at its significant role in Neolithic society, possibly symbolizing fertility, social status, or ancestral veneration. This statuette is just one of the many artifacts discovered in the region, but it reveals the society that once thrived in what is now modern-day Turkey. Now it's time for today's topic. Excavator bursts open rock, then miners discover something astonishing. In the remote mining town of Elko, Nevada, an ordinary day at the excavation site took a dramatic turn when an excavator operator named Jake Collins made a jaw-dropping discovery. As the heavy machinery dug into the rugged terrain, it struck an unusually hard rock. After several attempts to break it open, the rock finally cracked, revealing an astonishing find that left the entire mining crew speechless. Inside the split rock was a perfectly preserved fossil of an enormous prehistoric creature, unlike anything the miners had ever seen. The creature appeared to be a blend of several known species, with features resembling both a dinosaur and a massive sea serpent. Paleontologists were quickly called to the site, and initial examination suggested that the fossil dated back over 100 million years, to a time when Nevada was submerged under a vast inland sea. The discovery has since sparked widespread interest among scientists and the public alike, with speculations about what other hidden treasures might be lying beneath the surface of the Elko mining site. Some even believe this could be the find of the century, potentially rewriting parts of prehistoric history. While the exact origins and species of the creature remain a mystery, one thing is certain. This astonishing discovery has put Elko, Nevada, on the map as a site of significant paleontological interest, captivating the imaginations of people worldwide. Number 1. The lovers locked in an eternal embrace. In 1972, archaeologists from the University of Pennsylvania, led by Robert H. Dyson, were stumped when they discovered two skeletons. You see, the pair was unlike anything they had seen before. Unlike other remains, these two skeletons were found locked in an embrace, encased within a mud-brick grain bin. This pair soon became known as the Hazanlu lovers, and since then, the two skeletons have captured the attention of researchers. This evocative scene has since captured the imagination of both scholars and the public, leading to endless speculation about their relationship and the circumstances of their deaths. The site of Tep Hazanlu, dating back to around 800 BCE, was destroyed in a tumultuous conflagration, likely caused by an invading army believed to be from the Urartu kingdom. Amidst this destruction, the Hazanlu lovers were found, appearing to comfort each other in their final moments as the city around them burned. The skeletal pair became emblematic of an ancient tragic love story frozen in time. Recent research, however, revealed that perhaps the Hazanlu lovers might not be lovers after all. For years, it was widely believed that the skeletons were of a man and a woman. The one on the right, known as SK-335, was identified as a young male between 19 and 22 years old based on pelvic morphology and dental evidence. The skeleton on the left, SK-336, was initially thought to be female due to certain pelvic features, but further examination and DNA analysis later suggested that SK-336 was also male, aged between 30 and 35 years. With this new discovery, the initial narrative of two lovers comforting each other as the world ended around them was shaken. What's the real story between these two? Well, there are those who propose that the Hazanlu lovers are indeed lovers despite both being males. If this is true, it would challenge modern assumptions about ancient relationships. Others suggest they could have been family members or close friends seeking solace in their final moments. The exact nature of their relationship remains a mystery, but the image of these two skeletons locked in an embrace has now become renowned. Now, there are a lot more astounding discoveries in the world. Which ones do you think we should feature next? Comment them down below. Also, check out our other cool stuff showing up on the screen right now, and I'll see you in the next video.